The creator of the global waltz, Rieu, has been hiding something for 30 years. No one had ever seen the second life that lay behind the opulent concerts and the grin. The whole music industry is being rocked by recent discoveries. It's possible that your knowledge of the King of Waltz is just half accurate. Prepare yourself, because this video will tell you the entire story. On October 1949, Rieu was born in Maastricht, Netherlands. He came from a typical musical household, and was the third of 6 children. The groundwork for a life devoted to discipline and music was established by his father, Andrés Antonio Rieu, conductor of the Lindbergh Symphony Orchestra. André's father gave him the first violin when he was just 5 years old. Daily practice was more than just learning music. It was a way of life in a house full of symphony charts. André developed the accuracy of a professional musician as a result of his father's strictness. As he didn't think much of me. I love you, he never said. He never expressed pride in you. Never. That's not pleasant then. For the session, music, applause, beginning in 1968, André attended Maastricht and Lies, 2 of the Netherlands' principal institutions of classical music. He learned how to perform and honed his sense of rhythm, in accordance with European classical standards, under the tutelage of Joe Uda and Herman Kriebers. Music. He subsequently relocated to Brussels to study under Professor André Gertler, earning the esteemed Premier Prix diploma in 1977. André's years in Brussels gave him a deeper understanding of the waltz structure, which he always considered to be the language of joy. André started playing with regional orchestras in the 1970s. He was praised for his adaptable directing technique after joining the Maastricht Symphony Orchestra. Rather than pursuing a traditional academic route, André quickly discovered that there was still a significant gap between the general audience and elite art. He wed Marjorie Kochman, a language instructor with a strong interest in the arts, in 1975. In addition to being his life partner, Marjorie was also the man who planned his destiny. She is the one who maintains the harmony between music and reality, according to André. The basis for a family artistic model that would later become their defining characteristic was established by this collaboration. André concentrated on creating his own performance style, while Marjorie oversaw logistics. Together, they looked into how to make classical music more approachable for regular listeners. They found that the waltz was the ideal link between tradition and contemporary life, because of its expressive flow and simple 34 rhythm. The first group to have André's own stamp was the Maastricht Salon Orchestra, which he created in the late 1970s. The company gave performances in public parks, neighborhood theaters, and even tiny venues. Long accustomed to somber music, Maastricht audiences started to detect a change. Now the waltz was performed with theatrical fire and a smile. There was more to the Maastricht Salon Orchestra than a test run. It was André's lab. He created lively tempos, reworked Strauss compositions, and transformed performances into festivities. This taught him how to supervise funds, manage staff, and manage schedules. Uncommon skills for a musician in those days. Those years taught me that to reach people, music had to breathe. You had to make it dance. André summed up the artistic philosophy developed during this time in a later interview. In concert halls, he did not want music to stagnate. He desired for the audience to live with it. After over 10 years of research and observation, André Rieu was prepared for the most significant life turning point of his life, in 1987, when he founded the Johann Strauss Orchestra. This marked the start of a 30-year trip, in which he would have to live between 2 worlds, the voyage of constructing an empire. André Rieu began laying the groundwork for his musical empire in 1987, when he formally established the Johann Strauss Orchestra. Prior to their debut performance on New Year's Day in 1988, he had 12 members who practiced non-stop for 6 months. That occasion gave European classical music a new direction. André's objective was to make an orchestra that specialized in waltz's light symphonies, and pulas more accessible to audiences. He wished for classical music to be heard outside of concert halls. André brought his beloved instrument, a 1667 Stradivarius violin, to every performance. Marjorie Rieu was instrumental in the organization's backstage management, artist recruitment, and financial management. André once claimed that without her, he could not manage the symphony. Together, they developed a business and art concept with a family-centered foundation. André decided to be independent, rather than depend entirely on sponsorships. He created a direct ticketing system and assumed complete control over the production. including costumes, lighting, and stage design. The Johann Strauss Orchestra quickly took on the characteristics of a stand-alone performance group, thanks to this arrangement. Andre revealed in an interview with Classic FM that Johann Strauss was not only a brilliant musician, but also a very astute businessman. His ideology was evident in the sentence. Andre believed that without control and structure, art could not thrive. Andre was a storyteller on stage. In addition to being the musical leader, he frequently gave quick speeches to the audience, offering stories about the compositions that will be played. Instead than only listening, the audience felt encouraged to take part in this exchange. The Johann Strauss Orchestra started filming its performances for national television in 1991. The payoff was instantaneous, but it was a financial bet. In contrast to the stiff image typically associated with symphonic orchestras, TV viewers discovered a vibrant, captivating approach. The orchestra was able to keep up continuous operations, with the support of ticket sales and broadcast revenue. Andre intended to add more brass and string players to the group after that. With around 30 members by 1993, the orchestra was prepared for bigger endeavors. Andre also dabbled with independent recording around this period. He constructed a tiny studio in his Maastricht home and made an investment in his own equipment. He was able to lower the cost of renting record labels and regulate the sound quality as a result. The artist-producer model became evident after this. The Johann Strauss Orchestra started to draw a devoted following in 1992. They frequently went to concerts in Cologne and Maastricht, Antwerp, and became a cultural symbol of the Dutch-German-Belgian border region. Andre's orchestra established a solid presence in the area. By the end of 1993, he was dubbed the man who brought a fresh breeze to European waltz by Dutch music periodicals. This achievement set the stage for the significant turning point in 1994, when a music known as the Second Waltz was set to be released and would completely alter the course of history. The 1994 worldwide explosion. The Second Waltz, a Dmitri Shostakovich composition, was published by Andre Rieu. The album quickly became a hit in the Netherlands, reaching the top of the charts and spreading Andre's reputation beyond of Europe. I offered a waltz recording to record labels for years, and each year they rejected me, he recounted. When they finally came to an agreement, the Johann Strauss Orchestra's status completely changed due to the piece's success. Tickets sold out quickly. International promoters started contacting Andre, and his orchestra entered an unprecedented period of growth, becoming a symbol of how classical music could be reinvented. The orchestra played in the United States, Australia, Japan, and many European countries, and Andre started an intense international tour schedule in 1997. The concerts attracted tens of thousands of people, creating an atmosphere that is uncommon in classical music. Andre concentrated on recording entire performances and releasing live DVDs and albums. In 2005, Andre began his summer concert series at Friedhof Square in Maastricht, his hometown. The event quickly became a cultural ritual for the city, drawing tourists from all over the world. This doubled his revenue and allowed audiences worldwide to experience his shows, even if they could not attend in person. His style began to be recognized as a modern classical stage phenomenon. Fright quickly became a symbol of the Andre Rieu brand, and he once remarked, "Playing in my hometown, seeing people from all over the world dancing on the square, it's the most beautiful feeling." Building on that success, Andre expanded to other outdoor venues in Germany, France, and Australia. The concerts were expansive productions that combined stage design and music lighting to create a whole entertainment experience. By 2007, the Johann Strauss Orchestra had grown into a performing organization with over 50 members and hundreds of staff behind the scenes. Andre's touring system functioned with the accuracy of a large corporation, with schedules planned down to the hour. Audiences did more than simply listen. They became part of a celebration. The pinnacle of this period occurred in 2008, when Andre spent approximately 24 million euros to recreate Austria's Schönbrunn Palace on stage during his world tour, complete with cavalry units, a golden stage, and a choir of over 100 singers. His name was listed among the highest-grossing live performers in the world. Even though the event was a huge financial burden for Andre's company, he never saw it as a failure because, to him, it demonstrated that classical music could become a common public experience. The event left a lasting impression on the international performing arts community, with the media describing it as a classical concert on the scale of a grand opera. Few modern musicians could ever match the accomplishment of gathering tens of thousands of people for a waltz by Tchaikovsky or Strauss, which would set him up for his next major test, when his performance system, finances, and health would all be tested to the breaking point. Life behind the spotlight. In 2010, as he was getting ready for tours in Australia and the United Kingdom, Andre Rieu fell ill and was diagnosed with a viral vestibular nerve infection, which affected his balance and made him feel lightheaded every time he stood up. This was the most difficult time in his career following the worldwide explosion. "Every time I stood up, I was sweaty and dizzy," Andre stated in an interview. It was necessary to cancel the entire tour. He had to cease performing for over 3 months, and tens of thousands of tickets were returned. It was the orchestra's first halt in years. Andre had to confront his own limitations while recuperating at home. After thousands of hours on stage, he became aware that his body was worn out. Stopping was a huge psychological hurdle for someone who was surrounded by music and crowds. The sickness turned into an indisputable warning. At the same time, the company's finances were severely impacted by expenses from his heyday. A large portion of the over €24 million spent on the 2008 reconstruction of Schönbrunn Palace came straight from Andre's personal funds. He was experiencing financial strain at the same time that his health was failing. Andre acknowledged that this was the most challenging time in his career. Every morning he had to decide between worrying and going forward, he told the media. He had to reconsider how the Johann Strauss Orchestra should function due to the combined financial and physical pressure. He and Marjorie started reorganizing the business in this setting. They expanded investment in video and television production, decreased long-distance excursions, and decreased logistical costs. In order to keep audiences interested without requiring lengthy travel, concerts were expertly videotaped for international distribution. Andre returned to the stage, albeit at a slower pace, as his health steadily recovered. He focused on well-known places like Maastricht, Vienna, and Cologne during his abbreviated travels outside of Europe. Every trip was meticulously organized to strike a balance between his artistic excellence and endurance. Andre resided at Maastricht's Durentius Castle with his family. The historic structure was used as a base of manufacturing, as well as a place to live. He established a sound workshop, recording studio, and tour management office there. All of the orchestra's plans were laid out inside its original brick walls and glass windows that looked out over the garden. The new operations center was established in that area. In a little office in the east wing of the castle, Andre spent each morning working with Marjorie and their son Pierre. They managed performance contracts, talked about set lists, and organized schedules. Andre had gone from being a musician to the leader of a successful performance company. After going through a medical crisis, Andre made lifestyle changes. He started exercising lightly every morning, cut back on booze, and prioritized getting enough sleep. He reaffirmed his resolve to never back down in the face of difficulty, when he said in an interview, "Giving up is the worst thing you can do." Beginning in 2012, Andre partnered with American and European networks to increase his television visibility. Regular broadcasts of the concerts recorded in Fright and Vienna drew sizable audiences. He was able to stay in touch with fans all across the world, even while he wasn't on tour, because to this model, Pierre and Marjorie were instrumental during this time. Pierre was in charge of production and communications, and Marjorie was in charge of money. They developed into a strong trio that helped the symphony survive difficult times. The Johann Strauss Orchestra had steadily picked up steam by 2016. Andre was back to his best, putting out albums and getting ready for fresh tours. After the 2010 incident, the artist was more responsible, careful, and in complete charge of his empire. Andre Rieu returned with a stronger, more calculated, and strategic approach. However, the globe was about to undergo unanticipated changes. He will soon be forced to face the real significance of his secret existence, due to a worldwide challenge. A new era is dawning. Andre Rieu began a process of redefining his role in 2017. He had created a reliable, internationally scalable system after years of strategic tweaking. Now employing hundreds of people, the Johann Strauss Orchestra operated as an artistic enterprise. Everything abruptly stopped when the COVID-19 epidemic struck in 2020. All overseas tours and the whole Friedhof concert series were canceled. Andre was at the highest risk since the 2010 financial crisis. However, he made the decision that no one in the orchestra would be let go. He kept paying 120 employees, including teams in charge of administration, logistics, musicians, and technicians. Operating expenses topped $1 million per month at that period, and there was no revenue. His choice was seen as a brave and profoundly responsible move from a real leader. The Dutch government awarded almost 10 million euros, part of a cultural business aid program. According to Bild and Limber, the money assisted André in keeping the team intact, covering salary and maintaining necessary operations. He turned into a shining example of how an artist may deal with a crisis in a sustainable way. André planned a number of mid-scale concerts to gauge the reaction of the market when Europe reopened. His ongoing appeal was demonstrated by the speed at which the first performances in Vienna and Maastricht sold out. After a protracted hiatus, audiences interpreted his comeback as a message of optimism. The Johann Strauss Orchestra has progressively returned to its regular pace by 2023. André increased the size of the choir and made more investments in the string section. Rieu became the focal point of Europe's summer music season once more, and outdoor performances were fully reinstated.